So O3 and their O4 mini series, they released those. I mean, and, if you think about the agentic capabilities and, developers using those, I mean, people are still, they really like Gemini 2.5. So I don't want to, I don't want to lessen its impact that I think it is still there. And what this just means is that competition is getting very tight, so, and that's why I think OpenAI is just like, let's release O3. And it's so definitely solid as well. And the one thing I do like about O3 that we'll kind of talk about is just like they've basically trained in the ability for the model to use tools. Like if you give it a prompt that it's going to need to pull some information or look up some information, kind of like what it does with deep research, like it'll just think it through. It is also, of course, an O series model. So it is one of those ones that's a thinking model, right? So the cool thing about it is just like, as you see it kind of work through its flow and naturally search, and then it might go back to searching if it's still thinking through some things. It's just a really solid model. And I think this one is really touted as to where, like, it's like another one of those wow moments just with them training in the ability for it to, if you have plus plan, if you have the pro plan, they're rolling that out. Definitely try the model.
But yeah, this is definitely something, as always, like you said, OpenAI, they're continuing to improve on every iteration, right? And it shows. And I think it's really cool how you can see just not only OpenAI and their models, but everyone with every model they come out with, it incrementally gets better, right?
Matthew Berman brought this up in his video, is that we're probably seeing checkpoints. So like this might be a checkpoint from ChatGPT 5, right? So basically they'll take a checkpoint, which is like, they're still training GPT 5, which is supposed to, of course, be game changing, all those things. So at this checkpoint, basically we get an iteration, we get a version, an early version of what the full GPT 5 is going to, have in its product suite, right? And be available to, and just like, it'll be the next level version of these things that we're receiving right now. So one thing I did miss earlier, and that I definitely want to miss, is like, if you use it, charts, graphs, like the ability to read and interpret that information, and also them building out. So like if you're a big person on PowerPoint or whatever the case is, then I was just like, oh, could you put it in PowerPoint like to create some slides? And it did that. And it had, usually like it's a little bit off and the spelling's all wrong and the design of it is not good, but it was super sharp. Yeah, it's definitely super solid.
Absolutely, yeah. It just systems in place. I mean, and even aside from the the agentic flows, right? There's a lot of tasks you can use for this, whether in your small business or just everyday, regular, mundane life, right? Not mundane life, but mundane tasks that you have to do every day, right? So this is something I encourage everyone to use and take a part in.
Yeah. And just lastly, what I'll leave off on is just like I was saying, for the first time, OpenAI, they're saying our reasoning models can agentically use and combine every tool within ChatGPT.
I guess they're adopting Anthropic's MCP protocol, or MCP, to use some of those things, right? And I think it's really going to plug and play for them to get a chance to, once you prompt it, it is the model is smart enough to pick, or I guess not the model, but just the overall tool is smart enough to pick which model you need based on your prompt, right?
And let us know what you think about OpenAI's O3 models if you have a chance to kind of play around with there. The O4 series also, I didn't talk about those much, but the O4 mini models are super solid as well. They have their benchmark information where you can kind of look at how they kind of related to the O1 model.
Grok Studio, Twitter, or X, is releasing, and Grok is a part of X. They're released their first version of Grok Studio, which is adding code, execution, and Google Drive support. You can now generate documents, code, reports, and browser games. Grok Studio will open your content in a separate window, allowing both you and Grok to collaborate on content together. So Grok Studio is here. Check it out if you get a chance, if you have the premium X account, so you can use Grok.
Grok is still one of the top 3 models. Grok
it is.
On the LLM arena. Yeah, so it's not a bad model at all. And I'd be remiss, we talk a lot about Anthropic, their 3.7 everybody knows, because a lot of people love that for coding and everything like that. Super sharp coding model with code in it. But yeah, Grok also super respectable. Like it's out there, and it's solid as well. Like it didn't have the llama drama, as I like to say. But I mean, like, Grok is known for being more open model. Like it can talk really crazy to you if you want to prompt it to it. Like it's supposed to be less restrictive as the other models that are out there. So
anyway, let's transition. I want to transition to a cool segment I'm kind of excited to introduce on what AI for the culture looks like and what that has been. So recently in the news, there's these 2 Yale students, 2 21-year-old Yale juniors by the name of Nathaniel Johnson and Sean Hargrove, they raised a whopping $3.1 million in 14 days for their
14 days.
series, for their seed funding round for their social media platform called Series. So it's an AI powered networking platform, which sounds really, really cool. Series, from my understanding, it is a platform that is almost agentic in nature, where you sign up, you get an AI buddy, so to speak, that you fill out your platform and it goes out and networks for you.
One that came out that made a little noise a while ago, and I can't remember what it was called. The Clubhouse, was it Clubhouse? Right. And you had to have like
Clubhouse, yeah, I think it
special
was
access to
Clubhouse.
it, both entrepreneurs. But I just love the idea of, like you were mentioning, like it's like a hodgepodge, right? Because I think we talked
Right.
about before, like it's kind of LinkedIn,
Yeah,
Facebook.
it gives me
Um,
kind of that LinkedIn vibe, but also a
yeah,
little bit of Facebook, a little bit of, I guess, Match, or, some type of Match.com or like Tinder, where it's not necessarily like the swipe, but where your agent, so to speak, goes out and, networks for you, right? And I think they have really a cool concept. And I think, I haven't read, the full white paper on everything they're doing, but it seems like they have a lot of questions answered. I mean, clearly enough to do 3.1 million, which, like I said, is nothing to sneeze at, right? And
you talk with their platform, and essentially, like it makes you your own avatar, if you will. You know what I mean? Like so. And then
right,
that avatar can kind of go out and talk to other people.
this is more of a networking concept. Whereas, I think I was reading in one of the articles about them that it was more so, how most social media networks, you're over there talking about yourself and, putting your accomplishments and all this forward, right? Which is nothing wrong with it. That's kind of what it's for. But this one is more about the networking aspect and the human centered focus of, hey, let's connect based on what we do well or what we know or what we're interested in, whether, so it's almost like you said, a hodgepodge. Like I kind of think about meetup.com, how that's a social network for doing things together, right? But it's like my AI agent, so to speak, or avatar is doing the networking for me based on our interest, and then we're connecting and maybe building off that, right? This is still very, very early.
Essentially, like you're seeing here, you give it some information, and then it goes out on your behalf, and it kind of meets other individuals that might have similar interests, particularly on, if you're actually trying to, like, it looks like entrepreneurs